Hey guys, MTFU podcast number 8. Today we talk about responsibility, and it says take 2 on there because I already recorded. Or at least I thought so, but my microphone was on mute. So I'll take responsibility for being a fucking idiot because there's a little thing at the bottom that shows when I talk the levels going up and down. So take responsibility for not paying attention. How's that sound? So responsibility. Um, I talked about the CrossFit Games. I'm watching the CrossFit Games right now. The first event is it's actually pretty cool. They woke these guys up at 3:30 in the morning, took them to LAX, told them to pack one bag with no fluids, and they flew them out to an unknown location. That location ended up being Aromas Ranch, where the original CrossFit Games was held, and they had them perform the first 2 workouts that were performed in the very first CrossFit Games. The first one was a 7K run. Um, Sounds pretty easy, right, for most people. 4.5 miles, 4.25 miles, no big deal. But they're in the hills of California, and these hills are literally like that: steep, uphill, downhill, uphill, downhill. It's a very, very challenging trail run. And then after that, they had 10 minutes to rest after the time cap, which I'm not sure what the time cap was. I want to assume around 40 minutes, 35 minutes, because they're all probably 40 minutes. Um, and after that, they had 10 minutes to rest, and then there's a deadlift ladder going on right now. So pretty cool. What I thought about earlier with regards to responsibility was last year's CrossFit Games, and why I'm bringing up CrossFit. They did a workout called Murph. Murph, if you do CrossFit or have heard of CrossFit or have heard of Murph, is a really hard workout. Most people who don't do CrossFit or know nothing about it hear the workout Murph and how it's set up and what it is and think you're fucking crazy. You're out of your mind. So Murph is a mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and 300 squats, and then a mile run at the end, and they do that all for time. So you're trying to do as fast as you can, and the catch is you're doing it with a weight vest. 20 pounds for guys, 14 for ladies. So last year during the games, they did Murph as one of the workouts in the midday California sun, and a few of the athletes got heat exhaustion and were in pretty bad rough shape. Um, so with the responsibility aspect of what we're talking about here today, a lot of people I've seen online commenting about the, how irresponsible it was for the CrossFit to program that kind of workout in the midday sun in California, in a 90-degree day. Fine. That's the responsibility aspect I want to talk about, is passing the buck. Every one of those athletes, be it a professional athlete, has the choice to either stop working out, stop the event, not even participate in the event, or whatever have you. Nonetheless, they took responsibility for their own actions, and everybody out there in internet land with comments and what they would do if they ran the games or whatever is a bunch of shit, and it's pretty much what I feel is wrong with our society. People want to pass the buck and pass the responsibility elsewhere. When you take responsibility, we're talking about how empowering that is, how freedom giving that is. So I equated that in my last podcast that I dropped the ball on to any other professional sport. All these guys and gals are professionals. They're getting paid to do what they're doing now. And again, they're training for these types of events. Any of you guys have played football? I played, all through Pop Warner days in high school and whatever. And we played in some pretty bad conditions. We didn't play in thunder and lightning because obviously, you got metal on your head. Probably not a good thing to be out and playing in a lightning storm. But, rain, sleet, hail, snow, whatever, we played. There's never any issues with not playing. Baseball is one of those sports where you can't really play in the rain because it's hard to throw a ball, so it wouldn't really be much of a contest. But that being said, you're a professional athlete. You train for these types of circumstances, and again, when it boils down to it, you make the decision to participate or not. And we're all individuals, and the more we take responsibility for our actions and how we respond to things that happen to us, the better off, more free we're going to be. So I'm going to read a couple quotes that I find very, very helpful in this this distinction. One of the ones recently I just shared actually on Instagram the other day is by author, Navy SEAL, ex-Navy SEAL, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu connoisseur. He's got a great podcast. If you guys haven't heard it, check it out. He's got a great book. If you haven't read it, I promise you, you will not be disappointed. You can either listen to it on audiobook. The guy's got a great voice for it, or read it. His name is Jocko Willink. He's got a podcast, really good podcast called the Jocko Podcast. Check it out if you can. The quote and picture I shared that he says in his book is really, an important statement for anybody, most importantly in a leadership role. Because if you're a leader and things go wrong, as a real good leader takes responsibility. And, throughout my life, I've, obviously wanted to be naive and young and pass the buck off to somebody else because it's easier. The more you look around at circumstances and how people react to the circumstances and how they pass the buck and pass responsibility off on somebody else. Your safety, your protection, whatever it may be. Yes, we should live in a safe world, but guess what? We fucking don't. And you need to take responsibility for your own safety. Whether it's being aware, whether it's arming yourself with knowledge, a weapon, with training, whatever. It's your responsibility for your own life and for the lives that are around you that directly are affected by you, your kids, i.e., right? So the quote by Jocko is really good one. Here it is. Total responsibility for failure is a difficult thing to accept. And taking ownership when things go wrong requires extraordinary humility and courage. But doing just that is an absolute necessity to learning, growing as a leader, and improving a team's performance. And that's Jocko Willink, and that's from his book, Extreme Ownership. Check it out. Do yourself a favor. So again, in reference to responsibility and freedom, I have rants I go on, and you guys who train under me know how I get sometimes. And one of the things that I tell people, they don't deserve to be in good shape. They don't deserve a six-pack. They don't deserve to be fit. You got to work for that. You got to take responsibility for your actions in and outside the gym. So that's a good direct correlation to life. And most of the stuff that we do in the gym does directly correlate to life and helps out with that. So, interesting little story. Today, one of our guys rode his bike to the gym, and I want to assume, he didn't tell me the exact story, but assume he cut the corner kind of hard into the parking lot and hit the gravel in the parking lot and fell on his bike. So when he came in, I asked him what happened because he had a cut in his arm, and he's like, well, the gravel in the parking lot caused me to fall. Well, no, the way you fucking came in the parking lot and hit the gravel caused you to fall. What you did was responsible for what happened. And his initial reaction to that didn't take it well. Of course, you want to pass the buck, you're in pain. That's a reaction again. But you see his face change when you realize, okay, yeah, that was silly for me to say that. It wasn't the gravel's fault. It was my fault. I'm driving a fucking bike. So that's interesting. I like calling people out on that shit, not to hurt feelings, but just to remind them of what's right. And I think most people can understand that and equate that to things being right. And then another little quick story with me, particularly, Monday morning, came into the gym early, opened up, got everything going, and I noticed that there's a dip bar that we attached to our rig. So if you guys don't know what a CrossFit gym is, there's a rig essentially that bolts to the wall on the floor. It's like a big erector set, like a big swing set, right? You do pull-ups on it, there's a squat rack on it, and there's a bunch of attachments that attach to the rig to do different things onto. So one of the attachments is a dip bar. You dip like a dip. You guys don't know what that is, look it up or get to the gym and do something physical because it's pretty basic shit, right? So there's a dip attachment. It's a solid piece of metal. It sits in with a pin, and the edges are pretty rough and it's sharp. So Katie, one of our coaches, left the dip bar on the rig when obviously I want things to be put away, and I think she knows that, and it's fine. So I went to go put it away and put it on the ground kind of nonchalantly, and it fell on my foot. So the sharp corner of it, it's like a squared metal corner, and it's a heavy piece, fell right on top of my foot, and I mean, it hurt bad. I still got a nasty bruise on that day, and that was Monday. But my reaction again was to find someone to blame. And my thought initially was, fucking Katie left the damn dip bar on the rack when she wasn't supposed to, and therefore I dropped it on my foot. Well, if you guys hear me say that, and I say it now, I laugh at myself, it's a load of shit. I dropped it on my foot. No matter what happens, what led to that action was perpetuated by me. So I told her later I was blaming her, poking fun, joking around, obviously, because I don't believe that. That was her fault, and she knows deep down inside that I was joking because I call her out on that shit all the time. So we all do it. It's easy to blame someone else, something else, but to take responsibility is hard. And the more you do it, the more free you become, and the more happy you become. I promise. So I'm gonna leave you guys with another little quick Stoic quote. Quote, that's a good word. I'm gonna use that one actually. Mark that quote. Where it's going in a dictionary. I'm sure at some point in time I'm gonna start using it. Right? I haven't decided a definition, but we're gonna be using that one. So this Stoic definition is a really good one, and it kind of directly equates to how we perceive things. Right? So here we go. Destructive emotions result from error in judgment. Nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So understand that, guys. Your thinking makes the scenario good or bad. Most things are neutral, right? Most everything is neutral. We can argue that and debate over that, whatever. But just look at it that way. Most things being neutral, that color is blue. Whether or not you like the blue or not is up to you. That your thinking makes it so. Some people like puke green. Some people don't. Whether or not that color is negative or positive is up to you. So I'm going to leave you with that, guys. Hopefully this audio records. I see it, so it should be. Got any questions, concerns, whatever, and want me to talk about something, rant about it, I'm good for that. You guys know. Other than that, man the fuck up. Take responsibility today. Be free. Take responsibility. Later.